Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news. And Craig, guess what day it is?
What day it is? Who's ready?
Throw punch Thursday, bitch.
Why does that never get old?
In the throat. In the throat.
Good stuff, good stuff. How are we doing today, my friend?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Getting some computer work done today. Sitting here for a couple hours.
Oh, joy, joy. Well, that's probably the reason why all has gone well in terms of you being here on time. Unfortunately, me getting my stuff together took me a little bit. Well, let's just put it this way. I was not on time getting stuff together. Thus, the kind of raggedy beginning of the show today.
Yes, and I will step forward and say that's all on you.
It is all on me. I'm glad to see that we agree it's the black guy's fault, right? Is that what you're saying?
It is Black Guy's fault.
Or you blame you're saying it's because I'm black. That's what it is.
White guy was here on time. My guy was here on time. So.
Yeah. Normally Mike is like that guy, like just like skidding in, like just pulling in, like 5, 4, 3, 2. Sit down at the mic. Hey, this is Mike Piowarski. How you doing?
On time, though, every time.
On time, every time. I guess the whole military thing of, if you're early, if you're not early, you're late. Is that how it works? No?
I was early. I was early. I got there before we started.
Oh.
It might have been 10 seconds or so.
That's okay, man. I have gotten used to it. But that does not explain my bad preparation. I was spending time with the lovely Mrs. DeLuz and got distracted in my pre-show preparation.
There you go. Blame it on the wife. It's always a good call.
My bad. Well, since she doesn't listen to the show, and Craig, do not tell her. That's my son. My son listens to the show. Do not tell your mother I blamed her.
Oh yeah, he's already on the phone with her.
No, he doesn't. If there's anything good, he doesn't pay attention live. He usually listens to the program on Apple Podcast on his way home from work, or on his way to work the next day.
I give it about 5 minutes before we see a frying pan come flying at you.
No, my wife would never do that on air. Now, if I have a big knot on my head tomorrow, you'll know.
Yeah. If she does it live, I heard she actually gets.
It would definitely boost our ratings, wouldn't it?
I hear she gets jewelry out of it, so I'm just saying.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. Well, some interesting stuff to talk about on today's program. Good stuff. Interesting stuff at the very least. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors.
That's right. Let's say hi to Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Now you get yourself AR barrels from the factory manufacturer. They make them for most everybody. They got rifle caliber, pistol caliber, whatever length you desire, whatever caliber you desire, everything they got. It's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com. Hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical web gear, law enforcement, fire, EMS, whatever it may be, get your group together, get your agency together, put in an order at uscombatgear.com, where you can get everything except the gun.
That's right, folks. These are our sponsors. They bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. Do us a favor. Do them a favor. Do yourself a favor. Visit their websites. It's real simple. All you have to do is follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, check them out, spend some money with them. Make sure you tell them it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you. I also want to encourage you, if you're watching this program live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, you're catching the best of the best. This is like us with all of the foibles and all of that fun stuff. This is when we record the program, and we thought it'd be fun to go ahead and just record the program live. Anyway, All that having been said, we're also taking your comments. So if you want to comment on the program, something that we're saying, something that we're doing, maybe something that we're not saying or doing, go ahead and let us know. And if we find it to be interesting, I'll go ahead and I'll read it on the air. Now, mind you, you don't have to agree with us. We just need to find it interesting. But know that if you disagree with us, that we do reserve the right to mock you, or at the very least, correct you. But I have a feeling that I have a feeling that we're going to be doing a lot more mocking.
Yeah. Mock.
Mocking is more fun than correcting. Just saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so that's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time here today with all of y'all. All right, let's start off with this first story. And this one, well, let's just say I definitely consider this to be, well, I want to say bad news. I say bad news only in that this, in fact, happened. I also, though, want to say good news in that is that we know we have a decent idea of who they are, and we can, in fact, go after them. And that is a report that's has been shared by the folks over at Breitbart, noting that sanctuary states, specifically saying they're talking about sanctuary states in this particular piece, sanctuary states have actually released, I'm sorry, I keep moving the thing around here, have actually released more than 25,000 criminal illegals without alerting ICE, meaning these are people who have committed crimes here in the United States that are illegal aliens that they have released into the public. All right, so these are people who here illegally committed crimes, and they've released them actually into the public, and they didn't tell ICE that they did it. Sanctuary states released more than 25,000 criminal illegals back into the population without alerting immigration officials from October of last year to February. So that doesn't even include the criminal illegals from before then. Let's be clear. So we don't know how many. All we know is it's 25,000 from October to February when the Trump administration was fully up and running. It says here, California was by far the worst offender, but the deep blue states of Illinois, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, along with Virginia, also released thousands of criminals from their jails without alerting ICE that they were being released, CIS.org reported. The study told the release of 22,283 criminal illegals released into the populace since last October. There have been 25,283 released since 2023. Now, okay, so that raises the question, did they just all of a sudden, when they knew that Trump was going to be president, just all of a sudden just start letting them out of the jails so that they couldn't be caught? Think about that, man. That's like there was like 3,000 before then, and 3,000 before then, and 22,000 since then. That's crazy. Right here, just this last little part. The worst was California with 13,025 criminals released. That was followed by 2,946 released by Illinois and 1,601 released by Virginia, Massachusetts with 1,324, and Connecticut with 1,153. Now, Mike, I know you feel a certain way about this. What's up, bro?
So here's what gets me right off, Craig. Right, you got 23,000 that are released. Basically, when they know, within 2 or 3 weeks of President Trump getting reelected, so they get 23,000 they release over the next 4 months. So they hope that Trump doesn't deport them. So 23,000 they release in 4 months. Meanwhile, the previous year was basically the same number. They spent a year with the same amount that they released. You know what that tells me, Craig? That the Democrats don't want to see you get deported, but they don't care if you sit in their jails either. That's how much they care about you, okay? They don't care if you sit in the jail.
Well,
they just don't
care
want you deported.
because in fact, so these are folks who have committed crimes, so they're in jail. But once again, once they realize that they might get deported, they fast-tracked and shipped them all out of jail. Once again, folks, we're not just talking about illegal immigrants. We're not just talking about people who are in the country illegally. We're talking about criminals who are in the country illegally. And they started fast tracking their releases so that they would not get deported.
Yeah. Again, because they're in the jail, so they've committed another crime. They're in a sanctuary city, so they've committed another crime. They're not there just for illegal entry. So these sanctuary cities, they don't care if you sit in their jail. They just don't want to see you deported because of it.
Well, because because it'll make Donald Trump look good.
That's right.
That's what it is. And folks, mind you, here's the thing I need you to understand. It doesn't really matter the group, whether it's the trans agenda movement, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's the DEI, whether it's the Democrats, whether it's the environmentalists, no matter what the group is, no matter what the interest is that they have, even if they have issues, the Muslim community, let me clarify, not the Muslim community, the extremist Muslim community, they have one thing in common: they all hate Donald Trump. They all hate Republicans. And so they're all coming together to say, look, we just want to make sure Donald Trump doesn't look good.
Yeah, the radical Islam community. Yeah.
There you go, radical Islam community. They care about is hating on Trump and hating on Republicans. And specifically, the Republicans that they hate are the ones who like what Donald Trump is doing.
That's right.
It's all hate.
It's clear. I mean, listen, here's the numbers. Here's the stats. Clear as a whistle. Right.
It ain't hard to figure out, folks. It is not hard to figure out. All right, another report that's also coming out of Breitbart has to do with the Secret Service agents who were active duty when President Trump was during the attempted assassination of President Trump. Well, Breitbart News is reporting that 6 of those agents have been suspended for conduct specifically during the assassination attempt. It says here, U.S. Secret Service official confirmed the suspensions to ABC News, noting that they came just 4 days shy of the 1-year anniversary on July 13. On that fateful day, the bullet fired by 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks grazed the president's ear. Firefighter Corey Capatori was killed in the attack, while others were injured. Following the shooting, an independent review by the Department of Homeland Security determined that the U.S. Secret Service made mistakes that left the president vulnerable in the assassination. Now, this is per ABC News. There were many mistakes made on the day of the July assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump by the Secret Service, but an independent review by the Department of Homeland Security revealed systematic issues within the organization and found that without reforms, the agency another Butler can and will happen again. Okay, I'm sorry. That was, once again, a specific quote from the report. In the aftermath of Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas assigned a panel of 4 former law enforcement and national security officials, to examine what went wrong and how they recommend the Secret Service moves forward after the attempt on the former president's life. Quote, the Secret Service does not perform at elite levels needed to discharge its critical mission. The letter addressed to the Secretary Mayorkas said, which was included in the report. Another quote, the Secret Service has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static, even though risks have multiplied and technology has evolved. Now, it doesn't really tell you, at least in this report that I'm looking at right now, and perhaps, Mike, I know you're taking a look at it now. Perhaps you can correct me. It doesn't say exactly what the folks did wrong that caused for them to be suspended. But I'm sure it's probably not hard to guess what went wrong.
So the key word I took out of that, Craig, was complacency, and in the high probability of death or great bodily harm, the word complacency is the killer word. Listen, here you've got people that, because of the past administration, already saw Donald Trump as a second-class candidate, right? Yeah, they were so against him. They heard the administration talking so bad about him. They heard politicians saying that it would be okay to bring harm to him. So why should we go out and be super aggressive in our job and making sure that these locations are secure? Why should we pay any attention to that playground that's 150 yards away? We don't need to worry about any of that. It's just Donald Trump, and our administration's already told us that he doesn't matter. So what difference does it make? I'm sure that these 6 that were suspended, Craig, either knew and should have corrected, knew and had the opportunity to correct, or were grossly complacent themselves and allowed these things to occur.
Well, I think you're right, because I think some of the things, like for example, why that rooftop was not secured, that is nothing less than complacency. Because in most other cases, I'm sure that the Secret Service would have probably, or any other reasonable protection detail would have been up there. I think the very fact that once people started reporting that there was a guy walking around with a rangefinder, and that then they saw a guy with a firearm, why didn't they immediately respond? All of that, or just the poor level of coordination with local law enforcement in terms of who was going to be where. All of that should have been handled, and it wasn't. And it wasn't because, as you said, he was a second-tier guy. He wasn't as important as anybody else that was under their protection. And here's the thing, folks: if the Secret Service if you have a Secret Service detail, supposedly you're important and you deserve the same level of protection, the maximum level of protection that those who are assigned to you can provide with the resources made available to them.
Yeah, and this is the complacency of gross negligence is what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
Is what they allowed to happen. Now there's 2 separate sections of Secret Service here, right? Now you had Trump's team, his body guys. You saw what they did. You saw, how they immediately jumped on the scene. They stayed close to him. What we're talking about is the team from the home office that's there, that comes to secure the facility and provide all the additional assets, not just the body men. All right. Hell, the body man there did such a great time. He's now director of the Secret Service. Okay. That's but everybody else there was there. It was evidently just a complete failure.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, all I know is that the some of the other Secret Service agents are no longer on his detail. I think in no small part because, well, they're just not tall enough to protect the president.
Yeah. Well, we know he definitely sent the DEI people back to their desks. So,
well, at least he sent them out of his detail. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. And if he's smart, he'll put him on Biden's detail.
If he's smart, I think he can fake smart, right?
Oh, he's not just smart; he'll outsmart you.
There you go. Yes, he will. Speaking of not smart, Zorhan. I basically like calling him Zorhan because I don't like calling him Marzadi. It just reminds me of Zohan from the movie. I'm trying to remember the hair guy. Anyway, all that being said, dude came out and had the nerve to say that. Well, wait, let me read. Let me read the specific headline. I want to read the specific headline to you. This from the Washington Free Beacon. Zohran Mamdani called to stop sending cops to people going through domestic violence. Socialist New York City mayoral hopeful Zohran Mamdani said during a 2020 podcast appearance that he did not believe calling the police was an appropriate response to domestic violence, an issue which the New York Police Department dealt with more than 100,000 times in 2024. Mamdani made the previous unreported comments as a part of a wide-ranging denunciation of NYPD during an appearance on the Immigrantly podcast in 2020. Quote, if somebody is jaywalking, if somebody is surviving, going through domestic violence, there are so many different situations that would be far better handled by people trained to deal with those specific situations as opposed to an individual with a gun, Mamdani said. The revelation comes as Mandani runs on the mayoral platform that would replace police with, quote, crisis responders in, quote, mental health cases. Mandani's policy memo does not define such cases, and his campaign representatives did not respond to repeated requests for comment on whether he would prevent the police from responding to reports of domestic violence. Now, let us be clear. Now, there are instances in some liberal places where a report of domestic violence is not necessarily a violent act, a physically violent act, but largely when the police are called, it's a physically violent act. And you're going to tell me that if you believe someone is in the middle of something, and we'll just call it, by definition, if the word violence is included, I'm assuming that some sort of physical violence is if not has happened, is easily anticipated or could possibly happen, is at least a possibility. And you're telling me that you're not going to send oh no, wait, let me clarify. You're going to send someone who does not have law enforcement powers into a violent situation, and he thinks that's a smart idea.
Zoran.
Zora.
Here we go. Listen, the most dangerous call that law enforcement goes on is the domestic violence call. Whether it's I hear them yelling at each other or they're beating each other over the head with pots and pans. It is there is a heightened opportunity for violence to occur when you go over there and stick your business in between their business. If this domestic couple is fighting with each other and you decide one of them has committed a crime enough to where you have to take them to jail, well, guess what happens? You're taking one to jail and you've just made an enemy of the other one because they're codependent or they don't want to see them go away now. And now they turn against you as well. It's the most dangerous situation that law enforcement goes on. It's an unknown threat. It's going to occur. The way law enforcement handles them, it's a minimum of 2 officers, and it happens time and time again. It could be the most diminutive little person that's a victim and has begged you to do something about it. And the moment you do something about it, they turn on you with a kitchen knife. It just happens constantly. Now, Greg, I got no problem if you want to involve a social worker in the sentencing phase or in the pretrial release phase. Okay, you have to go through some counseling and deal with this person. All right, that's fine. But not in the early stage, in the beginning stage, where they're active combatants against each other.
Well, and I'm not even opposed that if you call out, along with law enforcement, someone who's an expert in that area, if, once again, budget allowing, or even providing the sort of both time and training, time for the training for law enforcement to become better at dealing with those sorts of situations, dealing with de-escalation, dealing with the issues that are specific to domestic violence. But the idea that you're not going to send law enforcement, someone who can immediately react should it escalate, or if it has already escalated to violence, that is just idiocy.
So I'll say this: there is no one more capable and better equipped to handle domestic violence than your patrol officers and law enforcement. They've dealt with thousands upon thousands of these calls. They have every amount of de-escalation training there can be, from trying to talk kidnappers down to people trying to commit suicide off the top of buildings. Is all training they get, and they deal with and they perfect every day on the job. Sending a social worker in at that initial stage is just going to cause more people to get hurt. Okay, social worker, you deal with it. Oh, wait, it got violent. Tag in. Now I'm it. I'll go in. I'll go save you. I'll try and recover from everything that you told them to deal with it the proper way now, or the de-escalation, the physical de-escalation way. All right. Sit your butts at home. When we take them to the jail, you can counsel them there.
You know what? That is actually a great point, and that's why I appreciate when we have these sorts of conversations, especially surrounding whether it's law enforcement or whether it's use of force or military. I appreciate having you on because you have a perspective that I, as a civilian, do not have, and that's actually a great points that you have made there, sir.
Yep. I do what I can.
I do. He does what he can. Yes, 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 he does. Okay. Here's an interesting one. Now, you may recall that a judge recently decided that, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm not a judge. The Supreme Court recently decided that, yeah, no, local judges don't get to just decide and put in place these sorts of injunctions that can block national policy. You don't get to do that. In fact, it was 8-1. Let me say that again. It was 8-1, right, on the Supreme Court of folks who decided that, yeah, no, you don't get to just do that. You don't get to just institute those national injunctions. Well, evidently, there is a federal judge on the payroll that did not get the memo. This being reported by CNN. Federal judge issues nationwide block against Trump's order seeking to end birthright citizenship. This is being reported out of New Hampshire. A federal judge agreed Thursday to issue a new nationwide block against President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship. The ruling from U.S. District Judge Joseph LaPlante, there we go, is significant because the Supreme Court last month curbed the power of lower court judges to issue nationwide injunctions, while keeping intact the ability of plaintiffs to seek a widespread block of the order through class action lawsuits, which is what happened Thursday in New Hampshire. The ruling from the bench, LaPlante granted a request from an immigration rights attorney to certify a nationwide class action that, quote, will be comprised of only those deprived of citizenship, and issued a preliminary injunction indefinitely blocking Trump's day one order from being enforced against any baby born after February 20th. So, in other words, correct me if I'm wrong, but so there are plaintiffs already? They've already established that there are plaintiffs? So they're saying this is going to be a class action suit. Well, if it's a class action, so then you have someone from multiple jurisdictions across the country who are already listed as plaintiffs. And if you don't, then it's not officially a class action suit, is it?
Right. So they've already made, plenty of technical errors here that will surely see this overturned in the next week. First off, the ruling that these judges cannot provide nationwide injunctions left two alternatives in it, Craig. One was that it's a civil rights violation. A judge could stop it. And two, if it qualifies for class action. Now, the key word there is qualifies. You don't walk into court and say, here I am. You must prove that you qualify for class action. Additional hearings are required. People have to be brought forward to show that it is a class action and that multiple people qualify for class action. That didn't occur. This judge just at the bench said, well, I think this is going to be good for class action. I'm going to grant the injunction. So I think they went in there with 3 or 4 complainants, children, and said, all right, it qualifies for class action. I'm going to give you some time to prove it qualifies for class action. That's not how that's supposed to work. He did put this on hold for 7 days. He said the injunction is good, but it's not going to take effect for 7 days. That way the DOJ and the president's attorney. Oh man, I forgot the name of it. The Solicitor General. The Solicitor General can go forward and say, no, listen, it doesn't qualify. So they get to bring their points in. Of course, the news media is making it sound like it went into effect today. It's a nationwide injunction. What it is he said it looks like it qualifies for class action. It will not take effect for 7 days, and it only affects the children, Craig. This doesn't include the parents. All right. So even if it does come around and they say, okay, look, it is class action, it only applies to the children. So the parents could still be hooked and booked and sent down south. They could send them to Alligator Alcatraz and then deport them. All right. Now, nobody wants to separate kids from their parents, which is kind of their tactic, right? Which is why they're okay with it just being the children, because they're pretty sure they're not going to separate the children from the parents. So again, where we stand right now is this should be not legal because they have not gone through the proper procedure to declare it and certify it keyword, certify it as a class.
Right. Well, they don't really care if everything is legal, Mike. You and I
No.
know that. All they care
Yeah.
about is getting what it is that they want. And if they feel like they can delay the actions of the White House, even a little bit, they'll look to try and do that.
Yeah. And that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
kinda
you're right
idiotic.
as well. This should only apply to that jurisdiction. It should not apply,
Right.
especially before the class action is certified. It's all in one jurisdiction right now. If they get 7,000 people from another jurisdiction that's certified to be part of the class action, then it could apply to that other jurisdiction or nationwide. But for right now, it should only be applying to that jurisdiction.
Yeah. Well, we all know. Once again, the left understand this, folks. That the left, their attitude is that the role of the judge of the court, and this is Ketanji Brown Jackson has said as much. The left pretty much believes that their job is not to interpret the law as it relates to the Constitution, or interpret or make judgments on situations as it pertains to the law or the Constitution. Their job is to right wrongs, and right wrongs as they see it, which means that they will undo anything that they believe is inappropriately done, and they really don't care whether or not it's consistent with the law. They don't care.
That's right. That's right. No doubt in my mind, within the next 7 days, the Supreme Court will hear this and reverse this.
And they will reverse it and hopefully hold this.
That's right. No doubt in my mind, within the next 7 days, the Supreme Court will hear this and reverse this.
And they will reverse it and hopefully hold this judge accountable.
Yeah.
At least I'm hoping. All right, folks, so that brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you will get a disc. You will get whatever you get there on discount on us. All right, our parting shots today are also brought to you by our friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. And this is in no small part because, I was running late and didn't have a chance to download some very cool videos that I think we will have for future days. Anyway, that having been said, number one, there is no Epstein client list, says Epstein's clients.
Crazy, right? Crazy.
Funny how that
Hey, I don't know. Did you get the opportunity to talk Epstein's client list yesterday?
Did not talked about it a little bit. Basically what I said was, I believe that there's a list out there. I believe there was a list out there. I don't believe the list exists any longer because I believe someone got a hold of it and got rid of it. All that having been said, I do believe that those who are in charge right now went and they looked and there was no list, and they pretty much are like, look, hey, there's nothing there.
Listen, I think there's a list, but it involves the victims. So they're trying to had to go through that and scrub that and everything. But for all the I don't know, the internet experts that say the reason the list is not being released is because Trump is on the list. Well, if that was so, why didn't the Biden administration release that list at any time during the 4 years they had it?
Exactamundo. There you go. Excellent point. Excellent point. Next, we have. You might recall that the White House doctor actually testified yesterday, and basically all he said was no comment, no comment, no comment, or I pled the fifth. It says here, former White House doctor denies ever knowing Joe Biden.
Ironically, Craig, when they asked Joe Biden about this, he said he didn't remember the doctor either.
It was definitely not a memorable experience.
He
Okay, now
remember.
you might have heard, and we talked about this yesterday. You know that now TSA has a new rule, started brand new. You do not have to take your shoes off in order to get on a plane anymore. So it says here, once again from the folks over at the Babylon Bee, after TSA policy change, production finally resumes at Crazy Muhammad's shoe bomb factory.
There you go. Yeah, now you no longer have to take your shoes off before the TSA agent molests you.
There you go. You can at least be molested with your shoes on.
Yeah, hey, I'll say this for the security's sake. What has happened since the shoe bomber is that now at all TSA checkpoints they have the scanning capabilities to see inside your shoes as you're wearing them and detect if there's any explosives in them without you having to take them off. So they didn't just decide we're not going to look at shoes anymore. The physical security measures are in place to see that without you taking them off.
Where raises the question, my question is, so how long have they known this, and why did it take them so long to change the policy?
Well, I mean, you're talking 1,000 airports with TSA.
Right.
How long does it take to get that infrastructure in there and get those people trained on it?
Considering the fact that it's the government, we're lucky it happened this soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Disaster. Liberal goes back in time to kill Hitler, but now has no one to compare people who he disagrees with to.
Yeah. Did I send you the one video, Craig? There's a comedian who says, if he could go back in time and kill Hitler as a baby, would he do it? And he said, he's a father. He doesn't want to kill a baby. However, he could probably choke the shit out of a teenage Hitler.
I did not see that video, but that is funny. That's a good point. He doesn't even have to be a Hitler. He could just be, I don't know, Mao. Yeah. And then finally, Furious Newsom says he won't stand silently by while Trump fixes California. Okay, Trump can do a lot of things, and I will give Trump a credit for a lot of ability to do a lot of things and he has definitely proven me wrong more than once. But I'll say this: I don't know if even Trump can fix California.
Well, a lot of Californians are fixing California by leaving. It's making it easy. It's no longer what's going wrong and what's going right. It's just what's going wrong.
Right. Well, and it's exposing a lot. I'm going to tell you right now, California has made a significant shift to the right, or let me say to the center. Once they get past center right, then I'll call it a move to the right. But they've definitely demonstrated a frustration with Democratic leadership. I just don't know that they're frustrated enough to elect Republicans. I just know they don't want the same people. But they're also dumb enough to believe that a Democrat coming forth and saying, "Hey, I'm not like them," despite having no evidence of such, that they'll actually be different.
The problem, right? To sum it up in a paragraph or less, is the uneducated voter. Right? These are people that don't care about the issues. They might be paying 60% of their salary in tax, but they've always done it, so they think it's normal. So they continue to go to the ballot box and push the same buttons over and over because an incumbent wins 70, 80% of the time.
Yep. There you go. That there be how it be. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of the program. But before we go, we got one more shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Go there, get yourself an AR barrel, rifle caliber, pistol caliber, any length you desire at hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, law enforcement, security, EMS, whatever it is, get your group together, get your agency together, place an order at uscombatgear.com, where you can get everything except the gun.
Folks, thank you so much for participating in the program today, for watching, for listening, whether you're watching us live or listening to us live or listening to us pre-recorded. We appreciate you. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. Want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. In any case, that's going to be it for today's program. We will be back tomorrow on Free For All Friday. Please make sure you guys are participate. Make sure you give us some comments. We love hearing what y'all have to say. Or if nothing else, Mike and I will talk trash about you. That's kind of how it is. Peace out.